Wake up, because after this weekend, postseason will have officially arrived in college basketball. And that means we're going to hear quite a bit from our next guest. It's Ian Eagle that's joining us. And Ian, there's a lot of things that I can call you. Bird, a popular nickname, for example. The TV play-by-play voice of the Final Four is another title for CBS and Turner, Amazon Prime's lead NBA announcer. And now we can call you a teammate at Westwood One as well. Thanks for joining the new venture, partner.
That is correct. We are finally on the same team. That's a great point, Josh. I didn't think about that until you mentioned it. Great to be with you, teammate.
It's great to hear those words. When Duke and North Carolina met in the Final Four, see, we have this game on Westwood One later tonight. I remember in 2022 talking to your colleague and your broadcast mate, Tracy Wolfson, about it. And in New Orleans, I remember she, at this point, had worked numerous Super Bowls and numerous Final Fours.
Yep.
And I remember her lighting up, being so excited, saying, I never thought I'd get a chance to work a Duke North Carolina game. Before we get into the hoops, what assignments or sports have you never had a chance to call? Because Duke Carolina's probably on that list, right?
Yeah, never did a Duke Carolina game. And look, in the broadcast terms, you are basically assigned your broadcast and show up and you're excited about it and you've done your prep and you're ready to go out and do the best job you can do. You don't pick the assignments. In addition, there's the other layer that you may not have the rights to certain potential assignments. So the ACC, CBS did have a piece of it at one point that has since gone away. So Duke, I did see, fortunately this season on Thanksgiving in a CBS Thanksgiving Classic against Arkansas, but I'm not going to see a whole lot of them until we get to the NCAA tournament. If I were to pick something that I just never worked at a network that actually had the rights to, that I would have been really interested in calling, probably Wimbledon would be the one that comes to mind. Just the prestige, the history, the grounds. That would be a cool assignment to be a part of and to put on your resume.
Another title I left off the list is Noah Eagle's dad, which is relevant because he's calling the game for us tonight on Westwood One, especially since you're listening to our new 24/7 network all hours throughout the day, just waiting for one of us to extend an invite to you. You're also really good at integrating, today's culture, like nomenclature, some of the language into your broadcast. Would you classify yourself as jelly tonight when it comes to Noah calling this game?
Yeah, I'm jelly. I think you got the intro wrong. Noah's my brother. People get this wrong all the time. He's my brother. I don't know where this got messed up in the wash.
What's his secret?
His secret or mine?
His secret to
looking and just being so young and youthful. No, I would be jelly. I'm jelly of this assignment. To obviously call a Duke North Carolina game is a career highlight. I know for him, it was something that resonated when the offer came out. Even though he's spanning the globe, running around with different assignments, I think he wanted to make sure this one fit into the schedule. So I'm excited for him.
It's the great Ian Eagle that's with us here. As you noted, you're not one of those that are just parachuting into college basketball. Now, you called that Duke-Arkansas game on Thanksgiving. We've been hearing you throughout the season. But there is a significant faction of people that look at the calendar and say, oh, it's March. That means we need to start following hoop. And to those people, I say, college hoop specifically, you've missed out on one of the most exciting regular seasons we've seen in recent memory. And it follows a year where one conference, and 4 teams specifically, separated from everybody else last year. There weren't a lot of upsets in the tournament. Just give us a sense to the layman who's watching how much differently you view the top of this year's sport versus a year ago.
It feels a bit wide open this year, although Duke has been so dominant. I think you can make the case that if you go 8-9 teams deep, a team could go on a run and maybe surprise some people and win a national championship. Duke and Michigan have separated themselves. There's no doubt about it. They are the two best teams in college basketball. Arizona is in that next tier. And then you've got UConn, you've got Florida, you've got teams that are certainly capable, but what their road may look like could determine whether or not we're talking about them for the Final Four in Indianapolis. I think the way that the climate is now set up, I don't believe last year was just an outlier that we got 4 number 1 seeds. There's a chance that the cream of the crop will rise in college basketball based on the current setup. And that doesn't mean that you can't get an upset in the first round. You can't have a mid-major that maybe has a bit of a magical run through the first weekend. It can still happen, but it's going to be a bit more challenging, basically because mid-majors that have gone on runs before, VCU, George Mason, Loyola Chicago, others that you want to put on that list, many of them had developed chemistry with teams that had time together. They had cohesion. They had years to find that commonality. And now, if you're a really good player on a mid-major school, odds are you're getting re-recruited and somebody is paying you money to go to a bigger school. And that is where we are. And I don't know if this is where we will end up being when it's all said and done. But for now, that is the terrain that we're looking at, which to me means that the schools that have gone out and have chosen their personnel correctly, evaluated correctly, will probably be in a better position from a big conference to make an appearance in the Final Four. That doesn't take away the kind of season it's been. Freshmen have been incredible. We have so many impact players around the country in their first year. But if you're asking me to find someone from a mid-major that's going to go on a long tournament run, that would be a tough answer to give you.
I'm going to add Miami of Ohio hater Ian Eagle to the list. I'm going to add
not a hater, not a respect, full on respect. But Josh, you and I both know they will probably be somewhere between a 10 and a 12 seed.
Yeah.
That's how the committee views them.
8 days from now, Selection Sunday. Since you're the voice of the Final Four on TV, do you fill out a bracket?
No. I did my first year doing the tournament, which was 1998. At that point, I was still working a lot in sports radio in New York at WFAN, and I had been in the office pool from the moment that I could join it in 1991. I graduated May of 1990, so the first full year that I was at the radio station, I jumped in like everybody else. And just as a matter of habit, I filled out the office pool that year, showed up to Sacramento for the tournament, not really knowing what to expect, didn't know how to prepare, didn't know how to attack it, but just went off my instincts and filled out my bracket. And then as I was calling the games in Sacramento, I had the likes of Illinois State, Maryland, Arizona, Nicholls State, Utah State. They were all there. And in the midst of calling these games, they would go with that scroll at the bottom, and the other scores started popping up. And I started looking at my bracket and freaking out that I was completely blowing it on my WFAN bracket, and realized that my priorities were not in order, Josh. I needed to reassess what was important in my life. That's the last time I filled out a bracket.
See, you're feeding something that I've been tempted to do, Ian, but I've never had the courage to actually do. I've been told by these incredibly happy people, such as yourself, that they love college basketball, but they don't fill out a bracket. And I'm somebody who got out of playing fantasy football because I know that can be a conflict of interest as well in following the game. And it's true. I find I enjoy the NFL more by not playing fantasy football than I did when I did participate. Are you telling me, are you sending a message to the people that there's a better way than even filling out the bracket, that without that conflict of interest, you might actually enjoy the tournament more.
I think you're not allowing yourself to have the unbridled joy that you deserve, Josh. I don't want to get too psychological with you, but it may be deeper. It might be a blockage. You're blocking. You're not allowing yourself to really enjoy the games because you have to have some skin in the game. And with that, I get it. There is anger. Anger is assigned to the emotions that you will feel when you're watching the NCAA tournament. It's awesome on every level. It really is an incredibly special event. And I think this year's version of it has a chance to be exciting and heart pumping and all the things that you normally feel with the NCAA tournament. The difference in my mind is that we might get to that place where we're consistently getting really good games at the Final Four because we're getting really good teams.
Ian Eagle's with us here as one of the leading voices on the NBA as well as college basketball. I'm fascinated where you're at about the current products of these sports because they are totally different sports. Yep. College is having a banner year, as we've mentioned, and then you got Adam Silver talking about fixing tanking, trying to fix availability issues, trying to implement rules on the fly. Yep. It seems that they're kind of that sport that baseball was 10 years ago, where all the talk hosts, such as me, opening these microphones, are talking about ways to fix the sport rather than just celebrating the darn thing. Which sport do you find to be in a more interesting place right now between college and the NBA?
Well, I've been an NBA broadcaster for 33 years, so it's certainly something that's been a huge part of my life. And I think if you're a legitimate basketball fan, if you love hoops and the athleticism and the skill level, then it's hard not to be an NBA fan. I know there are people out there, naysayers, that say, well, it's too much three-point shooting and the game has changed. It's still a beautiful game. And there's a chance when you turn on an NBA game that something may happen that you just haven't seen before, because the players now, in terms of their preparation, their fitness, their year-round commitment to being the best that they can be. And yes, the money that's on the line, if you're a big-time player, impact player, elite player, there's a chance you can retire from the NBA and be a billionaire. Just think about that for a moment. Right. You could be a billionaire playing basketball. So I understand where the criticisms come from, and there are legitimate gripes. I think the tanking issue is real, and the fact that there's a family out there that reserves tickets and buys them early because they want to see a certain team, and then they show up, and that player, star player from that team, is not playing because it's the front end of a back-to-back, or it's the third game in 4 nights, or there is a decision made by the strength and conditioning program that you know nothing about, that they've looked at the numbers that they've been tracking for them physically, and they've decided that player needs a night off, even though that player doesn't believe they need a night off. That's an issue. It is a real concern. Adam Silver is really smart, and I believe that they will continue to do whatever is necessary to maintain the purity of the game, and recognizing the fans are a really big part of it. College basketball, there are some questions as well moving forward, how all of this is going to look with NIL and whether or not there's going to need to be a salary cap at some point. I think these are questions that pop up over the course of the season. In my personal opinion, it's not something that I bring up during the NCAA tournament. There's a time and a place, and to me, the tournament is all about the games, the stories, and the chance that these young players get such a big stage to showcase and maybe create a memory that will last them a lifetime.
Adam Silver is a smart guy. I'm going to tell Adam that when I see him at Duke Carolina at Cameron later tonight. Ian Eagle, quote,
share that.
Adam yes. Silver is a really smart guy.
I'm comfortable with you quoting me.
Okay. There it is. Ian, thank you for this, and I can't wait to see you in Indy for the Final Four. Just know that I'm going to drop your name to get into all the top parties that weekend because I'm told your name is the ticket into all the celebrity get-togethers.
Yes. Now that you shared your grand plan philosophy, you will actually be thrown out of the Final Four. So I won't even see it, Josh. That's not going to happen. Once you mention my name, they're going to say, hey, dude, it's not happening for you. We're going to have to ask you to leave and may escort you to the state line.
Oh, as a tease, are you Michigan State this weekend? Where are you going? Where are we going to see you on our TV next?
Yes, thank you.
Tomorrow?
I want to come on and promote what I'm doing next. That's what you do on a talk show. It is Michigan State, Michigan. Do we have a clip? Roll the clip, please.
Tom Izzo, come on out. Hey, Dusty Bay. They're all here. Ian Eagle, safe travels. Thank you for doing this, and enjoy listening to Noah tonight.
Anytime, Josh. Appreciate it. I actually wore hair product for this interview, so congrats.